Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad, and today we're going to talk about NEOS. I'm invested in NEOS, full disclosure. I like their funds. I think they're professionally managed. But that's me. Not financial advice, and not tax advice, and not legal advice. Just some guy on the internet. And we're going to talk about NEOS today. Because they had distribution announcement yesterday. And SPYI is going to be 52 cents, paying about 12%. Exactly 12%. QQQI, 61, 14%. IWMI, 14.5%, 63 cents. BTCI, which I now have, $1.40. It's only 27.6%, but 25% of the holding is actually HODL, which is actually Bitcoin. That's why you see their price going up. Very nice. The next one is and maybe I missed the announcement. Maybe I slept or something. I don't know. NUSI, NUSI. Wait a second. That's not their fund. It is now. So if you didn't know, NUSI has been around for a while and they have acquired it. And are their calls going to be better and you're going to see more of a percentage? That is the question, because NUSI is going to hedge the downside. So they're giving you right now 8.6, which is up almost a full percentage from before. Can they actually hedge the downside? That is the question. We're going to have to wait and see. But maybe NUSI is now a play now that's going to be ran by somebody that maybe actually know what they're doing. Just saying. And then the next one is SPYI, which is high yield bonds. Again, they acquired a high yield bond and then they put a income structure over top of it to boost that rate of return. So the distribution rate is 8.8 today. I look at this going, you could almost just go ahead and buy everything from NEOS and call it a day. But I wouldn't go that far. A little more diversification among funds. But hey, they seem to be doing a good job. And we're going to watch NUSI just to see how it does. But one thing that interests me when I go out and look at their site, because it's always updating, currently they're up 32% since 2022. And you look against XYLD, JEPI, Devo, and then SPY. So they're distributing just over 12% thereabouts. Well, everybody else is a lesser rate, and they're getting more upside. At least the ones that they compare themselves to. And that's always the question. Who do they compare themselves to? Because I still say 0DTE, pick any of the three, iSPY, T-SPY, and XDTE, they beat everybody in total return, but some of them are a little bit different on their NAV. And that's what it comes down to. Anyway, let's look at QQQI. Again, higher distribution rate than JEPQ, QYLD, and the Qs. Come on, the Qs don't even count. But what's interesting is the Qs so far this year are only up 13.5%, and QQQI is up 13%. That is when the market's going sideways or slightly down, these guys outperform. Again, I think they're a good fund. Are there other funds out there? Sure. They're not paying you 14%. They're paying you something less. Now, what I saw out on their website this week was something different. And I saw this with another fund, but now I see it with their funds. So when we talk about SPYI, and they compare it to the CBOE S&P 500 buy right monthly index. They're slightly beating it. That's a great sign. But I'm sitting there going, wait a second, that's an index. Does that index happen to be on TradingView and have back history so I can see how this does over a long period of time? Because the conversation and some comments is cover call ETFs will not be around for a very long time and that they're going out of business and it's just a fad. So maybe this one has an index and maybe there's some history to this. Well, lo and behold, there is an index and it is on TradingView. And if I go back and look historically, all the way back to 2015, it goes up and to the right. Interesting. Now it also has the dips. For everybody that might be new, I only reinvest when we break the 50-day moving average. And that's the top green line. If it's not breaking the 50-day moving average, there's no reason for me to be reinvesting into a fund. I'll just take the cash, set some aside, so when it does start breaking, I can start reinvesting. And that is just the way that I'm doing it. No, I don't know if it's the best way, but at least it's a little bit of market timing, so I'm not always buying the top of the market. So QQQI had the exact same kind of drawing up on their website. I said, okay, they're tracking this CBOE NASDAQ 100 buy right monthly index, but it's only got, year-to-date data. That doesn't tell me anything. How's this thing actually do? How does this look over time? I don't know. Maybe on TradingView, I could find this one. And lo and behold, it was out on TradingView. And I got data all the way back to 2015. And you can see, again, it moves up and to the right over time. Again, the green lines are there just to show you when I'm buying and when I'm not buying. Am I going to use this? No, I'm actually just going to use SPX or SPYI. And if it drops below the green line, drops below the green line, I'm going to buy. And if it's above the green line, I'm holding. Just the way it is. It just makes sense to me not to buy when the market's going up, buy it when the market's going down. So anyway, they came out with IWMI. And again, they're beating the index. But come on, the fund's only been out for a couple months. Oh, wait a second. You know the drill by now because you've been watching. It's an index. Maybe I can find that on TradingView to see how it has done historically. And drum roll, making you wait. I'm literally making you wait. Yes, it's out on TradingView. And you can see this chart looks slightly different than the other charts. So that begs me to start thinking, maybe I do use these charts and these indexes to buy in at the proper time. I can always share the charts with you to tell you when I'm buying and not buying and when I'm dollar cost averaging in and not dollar cost averaging in. It just makes sense to only be putting money in when it's going down and holding that money in something else, making 9-10%, and then just use everything to buy these when it goes down. And when I say everything, so my distributions that I get monthly is way more than what I need to live on. So I reinvest all that money into something. And when these cross the green line, I'm just going to reinvest into my cover calls at that time. And that includes all the monies from the CLOs, the alternatives, the business development companies. That's when I'll be buying into the cover calls again. Again, maybe this won't even happen for another year. Who knows? But at least I have a plan and I'm going to stick to it. Maybe that'll be a chapter in the book. I don't know. But it sounds good. It really does. It sounds good to be the correct time to dollar cost average in. So the last one that we're going to quickly look at is NUSI. Because NUSI has been around for a little bit of time. It was actually around during the pandemic, and that's why I liked it. Because during the pandemic, it held up. It did not drop like a rock, like everything else. I did not find this one on TradingView. That's because I didn't look that hard. But I'm going to go back and look to see how that looks on TradingView. My problem with the fund was in 2022, it didn't hold up to the index like it should have. Personal opinion. Maybe NEOS can turn that around and we can get back above the index, and it'll be something to look at. That's my quick update. And BTCI, I'm not going to give you an update. It's on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up again today. And if you didn't see, Trump had a phone conversation with Coinbase. So maybe they are going to make a strategic reserve of Bitcoin. You just got to sit back and go, you just can't make this up. So who knows what they're going to do. And by the way, BlackRock approves of making it a strategic reserve. So now you have large asset managers also chiming in, saying that it might be a good deal for us. Who knows? That's a speculation. Until next time, God bless.